In this video, I'm going to cover the hierarchy of nutrition. So as I said previously in the intro, nutrition is a very complex subject, and to make it real simple, the number one thing we need to work on is something that is sustainable, something that you're going to be willing to do, you want to do, and you're going to stick with. If we have a nutrition plan that's just based on what someone else wants you to do or someone else thinks you can do, but it's not something you're willing to do, then you're going to struggle sticking with it. So we want to find things that are sustainable for you, that you're going to enjoy and want to eat to build out your nutrition plan. Now, if you're only willing to drink beer and eat pizza, then we can certainly make a plan around that. But we both know that's not going to get you the results you want. So instead, we would look at what are vegetables you like, what is protein or the proteins that you like. How can we put those together in combinations that are going to be meals that you're willing to eat? And on top of that, how are we going to build out the week and eating out that's going to be sustainable for you? So that's the first step in creating a nutrition program, is finding sustainable things to put into your plan. Number two, after you spent several weeks of nailing the sustainability part, we're going to look at counting some calories and what are the total calories we're going to eat every day. After we've nailed total calories for a couple weeks, then we move into counting your macronutrients, which are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And after we've nailed doing that and keeping that in track, then we look at looking at the quality of your food and moving more towards looking at vitamins and minerals and choosing more fruits and vegetables over boxed processed foods. And then the last thing, which is the most popular thing to talk about with nutrition, would be supplementation. But 90% of all results are found in step number one with sustainability. If you're willing to do it, you're going to do it. And that's why we start with sustainability. After we've nailed sustainability, you actually end up kind of migrating really quickly into counting your total calories or your daily calorie intake. Once we start doing that, that's when you start really seeing some jumps in energy levels, jumps in recovery, you start feeling better, and then you start to see some of those inches starting to kind of fall off. As we nail those calories and that becomes a consistent thing for you, we are then going to start looking at those macronutrients. Are we balancing out our proteins, our fats, and our carbohydrates in every meal, throughout the day, and throughout the week to give your body the most optimal environment for it to work out really hard, for it to recover really well, and for you to feel better and sleep better? As we begin to do that, then as I said earlier, we'll start looking at the quality of that food. Are we looking at getting more, or that's when we look at getting more fruits and vegetables into our diet. That's when we look at maybe some organic products, produce versus non-organic, and begin to really get into the details of everything. But that's only after we've gone through steps 1, step 2, and step 3. And then, like I said, the last thing is supplements. They all have great ads on TV and great Instagram ads, but they're really not going to get you abs in 6 weeks. So supplements are really one of the last things that I talk about with someone when it comes to nutrition. Supplements should be a complement to your diet, that your diet's already getting in all your nutrients, it's getting in all your total calories, it's stuff you already like to eat. And then supplements just supplement in somebody that's getting a lot of sleep. Like, are you getting your 6 to 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep every night? What I find with most people, and most people will find this as well with themselves, is if they're nailing their nutrition and they're nailing their sleep, they're really not taking any supplements. There's really no need for that. So when we begin to build out this plan for you, I want you to begin to write down now, build you a little pyramid on your sheet of paper and write out what are foods that you like. If that list is much longer than the foods you don't like, then let's write down the foods you don't like. Those foods that you don't like, we're going to throw them out when we go to the menu video. We're not going to eat them. Now, we do have to be reasonable here. Things that we like are like ice cream and pizza and, different candies and things like that. Maybe you're a chips and salsa person. So we're not just going to build everything around, the candy aisle at the grocery store, but we want to put in foods that we are going to eat that are healthy for us, that we do like, in that bottom category. And that's where we're going to start. We need to start eating good, high quality foods that we like. And that's going to be our first step to nailing our nutrition. After we create several weeks of doing this on a regular basis, then we'll get into counting calories. And then From there, we'll continue to build into more and more numbers. Most people will find that they will find their results in that sustainability category without ever really having to worry about counting anything except the food that they're eating. Bite 1, bite 2, bite 3, but nobody wants to count that. So write down these foods, make your little pyramid here, and then if you have any more questions, I'd love to answer those. All right, now that we've written down those sustainable foods, now let's move up the pyramid to calories. So there's a lot of different ways to find out the total number of calories your body needs on a daily basis. There's ways you can go and sit down and do a resting metabolic test. You can go online and look at different calculators for your basal metabolic rate. But one way that I like to do it with people, and it's really simple, is using a factor of 11, 13, 15, or 17. So the more active we are and the leaner we are, we're gonna look closer to multiplying our body weight times the number 17. And that's gonna be somebody that is already pretty lean. They're doing CrossFit 5 to 6 days a week. They're active outside of that. They're going to need that many calories. Now, if you're maybe a little less active or not as lean, then you go to 15, and then we kind of just continue to move down. But with the 11 really being the lowest factor that we had multiplied. So right now, let's go ahead, take your body weight, and then pick one that best suits you. Now, this is once again just a very broad number, a very generalized number, but it's a starting point for you. You can go online and find some resources and find a basal metabolic rate that then would give you a more specific number. We have a link in the comment section below if you would like to do that. But let's go ahead and pause the video here and find your total calories, either based off of that factor or based off of the basal metabolic rate link. All right, now that we've gone ahead and calculated our total number of calories, we're gonna look at breaking down our macronutrients. So this is now the third stage of our journey here. So stage 1 was sustainability, stage 2 was total calories every day, and then stage 3 is keeping up with the balance of our macronutrients. This is real simple, folks. 40% of your daily calories should come from carbohydrates. So you're gonna take your total calories there and multiply it by 40% or 0.4. Now that's gonna give you the total number of calories every day you need to have from carbohydrates. Now, to distill that down to total number of grams of carbohydrates, let's divide that number by 4. So 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. So the total number of calories for your carbs, let's now divide that by 4, and that is the total number of grams of carbohydrates you need every day. Now, when we move to fat, we need 30% of our daily intake from fat. And so we're gonna take our total number of calories, we're gonna now multiply that by 0.3 or 30%. All right, now that you have that number, you're gonna divide it by 9. Fat is a more dense macronutrient and it carries a lot of weight behind it, no pun intended on that, but it's gonna have 9 calories for every gram. So that's why we're dividing by 9. So now we have our carbs done, daily carb grams, we have daily fat grams, now we're going to protein. The remaining is 30%. So we're gonna take our total daily calories, multiply that by 0.3 or 30%, and now we have our daily protein intake. Now from there, let's divide that number by 4 because 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. So now we have total number of grams of protein per day. Now, when we talk about grams, something that I want you to understand and know is that when you're measuring or weighing things, this is not how much the protein actually weighs. So it's not this piece of steak weighs 10 grams. I'm talking about the amount of protein in that steak. So that's where when you go to the tracking video, where we talk about tracking, that's gonna be critical in understanding as we go through our macronutrient breakdown. So now that we have our macronutrients, the next step on our journey is the quality of our food. So this is one of the last steps that I include because through natural progression of finding sustainable foods, beginning to track total calories every day, and then beginning to track our macronutrient breakdown, you're going to over time begin to weed out food that is not optimal for your nutrition. Okay. Now, this isn't going to happen for everybody because there's going to be people that still squeeze in the gummy bears and ice cream, which if you can make it fit, it's not a bad idea sometimes, but we don't want that to be a staple in our diet. And so now in this fourth stage, we're looking at cleaning up the quality of our food. This is where the idea of paleo and Whole30 and different types of kind of ways of eating or nutrition programs out there begin to develop themselves. So this is where we're going to choose better quality ingredients for our meals. We're going to choose higher quality produce when we can so that we're getting in more vitamins and minerals or micronutrients. That's that fourth stage. And then the last stage now we're going to talk about is supplementation. Outside of fish oil, omega-3 fish oil, and supplementing in some protein before, after a workout, I don't really suggest anyone taking a lot of supplements. Supplements really are substitutes, not supplements in our current society. And the last thing I want you to do is substitute real high quality food for a processed powdery pill or substance. So when it comes to supplementation, I do heavily suggest, and this is not even a supplement necessarily, but an omega-3 fish oil so that we do get omega-3s in our system. It's not something our body naturally creates. And then adding in some protein before and after a workout, because the last thing you want to do after a hard workout is sit down and bust open a chicken breast and start eating it in the car. But the convenience of drinking a protein shake is a whole lot easier. So now that we've gone through this whole pyramid, our journey with nutrition is going to get a lot more fun as we begin to learn how to grocery shop, food prep, and design a menu that's going to get you the success you want. Whether it's abs or less flab, we're going to get you there.